Oof, what a load! Hello and welcome in the IBP series powered by Camnot. Today, inventory. Let's see how we can calculate safety stocks out of SAP IBP. In IBP, inventory represents the safety stock calculation. And by the way, in the classical supply chain planning process, this is a dedicated process. As you can see here in the middle of the screen, inventory planning participates to the calculation of the main drivers for the MRP engines later and for the heuristics or optimizer in IBP. And within the IBP series itself, inventory is a dedicated module which calculates safety stocks and allows you to understand better your inventory. And by the way, inventory, as it is, the name is misleading. This is nothing related with managing inventory. It's all about calculating safety stock and better understanding your inventory structure. Nothing with stock movement, obviously. Cool. This slide shows the main features of IBP inventory. And by the way, maybe the first one is the inventory optimization, which calls for a multi-stage, so-called, or multi-echelon and mono-echelon engines, which calculate your safety stocks out of a number of inputs and data that you create. You calculate ahead of the optimization itself, like segmentations to calculate and segregate your products. We'll see that in a minute. To set your service level targets, to calculate your forecast errors, and also consider possibly all your bill of materials and all your supply chain network. And then out of this optimization, you get a result of safety stocks and inventory targets. That's what we see on the right side. Not forgetting the alert management, which is of course available in each and every IBP module. In inventory, it's not only safety stock, there is several focus like shown here, and this inventory modules allows you to better assess this, for instance, pipeline stocks, cycle stocks, where you have a planning cycle, for instance, every week you plan, therefore cycle stocks is impacted. Anticipation stocks, whenever you have any machine breakdown or whatever events you want to control. Safety stocks, as it is to fight against the uncertainty of demand and supply, by the way, also. Hedging stocks you want to prevent from currency drops or whatever. And seasonal stocks, do I need to explain what is a seasonal stock? Obsolete stock, error in management of stock. So all these are the focus of inventory, which you can get out of this module. Inventory from the process perspective is quite simple. 4 steps, but very important steps. The first one, you should review your input data, like your master data setup, like lot size, current safety stock, service level that you want to achieve, and also the transactional data, transactional input, like forecast and whatever other supplies information. As a second step, you would calculate your safety stock. And by this, you can use the optimizer or inventory optimization engine that has several options like multi-echelon, mono-echelon, and several other options. We'll see that in a demo. And also you can analyze results out of Excel, for instance, Excel templates. Then an important element which is simulations. Here in safety stock planning, it's a matter of investing a lot of capital in safety stock sometimes, and therefore better you simulate different options before you really invest in these stocks. For instance, you wish to have your stocks close from the production source so that you minimize your safety stock, but you increase your lead time to customer. Or you would distribute your safety stocks over the distribution centers closer from the customer, but therefore multiple shipping points then means more safety stock. All this has to be assessed with regards to service level that you want to achieve. And then at the end, when you have simulated everything and you decide for one scenario, you need to publish. And the publication of your results is nothing else than forwarding to the planning engine like IBP heuristics, optimizer, order-based planning, or even in S4 for the MRP to publish the safety stock. From the software elements of the IBP inventory, there is a master data setup. Again, it can go from the customer to the vendor by going through the customer group, for instance, the plants, the different distribution center, within all bill of material that you want to consider, finished goods, semi-finished, and even raw material. Design-wise, there is 30 planning level in the sample planning areas given by SAP, 30 planning level and over 80 key figures of input and results and alerts. It's really a comprehensive model. Then from the application perspective, you have a Fiori application to run segmentation, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, so that you better understand the structure of your product, which one you want to have such a strategy for safety stock planning and such other products with other safety stock strategy, and also the time series analysis, which helps you to better understand what is the kind of forecast that you have in your company. Then next, the optimizer itself, it's nothing very visible. It's an engine which is run by background jobs, okay? And you can trigger it from Excel, you can trigger it from Fiori, and this calculates the safety stock and the many other informations when running. The error calculations, very important that you calculate ahead of the optimization, the error of demand, the error of supply. The target inventory, it's also one element provided by inventory, which calculates not only the safety stock, but a target stock is made of safety on one end, but also cycle stock or a pipeline stock or a number of stocks which you want to introduce into your target. And then last but not least, the analysis applications, which helps you to better understand the structure of your stock. Implementation of inventory. So the question is, when should you implement inventory with regards to the other modules of IBP? I would propose this following sequence on these slides, which is you must have a demand planning, you must have a supply planning, a tactical planning, and you must have an SNOP before even you can think of inventory. Placing inventory above this, ahead of that, makes not so much sense. So the best is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 inventory. Second point, which is where to start from implementing IBP. You have two samples, which are these predefined solution from SAP. These are not productive, and I've written already articles on that, but they are good starting points. And SAP 3 is only focusing on inventory, whereas SAP IBP 1 is the unified proposition, which includes demand, supply, optimizer, and inventory. So decide the one elements you want to start with. Here in Fiori, for inventory, we have only a few applications. Like here, we see the forecast calculation, which is very much used to calculate the coefficient of variation of demand and supply and so on, which contributes a lot to the safety stock calculation. Then there is the inventory profile, which allows you to define the technical context of the optimization. And then the inventory analysis here, which is more or less like an Excel into Fiori in order to analyze result of calculations and not to go to Excel, a bit like the planner workspace if you wish. If I go first with the managed forecast error, which one, so out of the input and output key figures that are relevant to your calculation, over a certain horizon, over a certain planning level, you will calculate the coefficient of variation, for instance, the calculation bias, and so on, so which are useful and feed in some key figure which enter the engine itself after. Then the inventory profile, which determines the general technical context of the optimization. So, of course, here just behind, you will have a very technical elements which determines the way the optimizer will behave to calculate while calculating the safety stock. And last but not least, on the Fiori side for inventory is this inventory analysis, which is more or less like a planning view from Excel, like in Excel, but in a Fiori mode. Like for instance, I open this one, which I created ahead. In this one, you see here an output view of the different key figures that you have introduced in your view. You can even review which key figure you want to see or not out of the modeling. Okay, and by the way, if you even go in input mode, and here in input mode, I wish to review, for instance, the target service level for this combination from 80 to 85. Yes, fine, for instance, to 85%. Then here, you can run on the fly the optimizer to recalculate everything. It may take a minute or two to calculate your new safety stocks according to this new input that I produced here. Yeah, and let's go to the job definition where you call the engine itself. So for that, Go to application jobs. And here in application jobs, you create a jobs to calculate the safety stock. You have two options, two jobs, this one or this one. Now the new one is to be used is this one, the profile-based one. So let's go with this one. Step 2, when do I want to run my optimizer? And here, for which planning area do I want to calculate my optimizer? So, planning. Here it is. Then which planning operator? By the way, this one, inventory planning with profile. And then which function, and that's where I wanted to show you, what I wanted to show you. You can say what kind of inventory you want to calculate, multi-stage or single stage, pretty simple or very advanced one, and further options which you will discover in training. So for instance, I go with multi-stage. And then which versions do I want to calculate that, baseline. And this is it. Now I can schedule. It's now running for good in the background, and I can then later analyze the results. You can start with SAP 3 or SAP IBP 1 as a starting point for to create your planning area. So in this case here that I'm using, we started with an SAP IBP 1, therefore a full topic, so meaning you have the demand, you have the SNOP, and by the way, you have also inventory. And you see it's pretty simple. In inventory, you have two main views, so validate input view, to validate the many inputs that are involved in safety stock. So the demand input at the product, location, and customer group level, so that you don't define, for instance, the target service level by each individual customer. You can do that at an aggregated level, like here, for all retailers, for private customer trading, and so on. And you wish to have 80%, for instance, of service level. Then a number of very important information like the coefficient of variation of the demand for this group of customers. Very important. Is it very variable or not? And therefore the safety stock will be bigger or smaller, depending. So you have also transportation inputs, more on the supply side. Transportation inputs like the transportation lead time, because these also influence a lot the safety stock. The coefficient of variation for the lead time, okay, and other information. The same for production. And last but not least, the inventory policy that you want to follow, like minimum stock, maximum stock, which needs to be considered into the safety stock calculation. That was about the validate input template, but from Excel, that's the way you would do. And you call for which options do you want to run while running your new optimization of safety stock. Okay, then you run it, schedule, you wait it's finished, and after that you go to the template to analyze results. And here in this one, I see by the product and the different elements the results in quantities, in value, because we can financialize those numbers. And that's very important, because safety stock is definitely an investment, a capital investment. So therefore, it's important to have also the value. And then before you validate your safety stock, propagate it to heuristics in time series supply or in S4, you need to possibly do some adjustments before you really publish it to the operational engines, I would say. That is it for today. We've seen inventory. It was just an overview. No worries, we will see more details in dedicated inventory videos. And we've seen that it's an easy modules to implement. Not so many tiles, a lot of key figures and attributes. It comes at the end of your IBP journey. Then you are able to implement inventory. Although it's not a big deal to implement, you need to have the data to green before you can calculate safety stock. So thanks for watching, and think of putting a like or subscribing. I will be very happy, and see you next time.